In today's video, we will be taking a look here at the tropics, although as you can see, there is nothing going on. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what we expect in the upcoming weeks, and then move into our upcoming pattern where there is plenty of storms on the way, alongside some big time temperature roller coaster on the way, just because of the ups and the downs with those temperatures going from above normal to below normal, back to above normal, back to below normal. You'll see for yourself in a little bit, but it's going to be absolutely wild. Also, be sure to check out our other company, Prestige Weather, in the description and pinned comment down below. Only $5 a month, and we have early access to our seasonal and monthly forecasts over there, alongside some awesome consulting services. We do have chats going on in there, alongside weekly calls available for you guys, so be sure to check it out today. As we take a look at the tropics, as I mentioned before, no new tropical cyclones are expected during the next 7 days. So we do not expect anything of the sort to be happening over the next 7 days. But actually, as we reach the midpoint to late point of this month, we do expect activity to really ramp up in a big way. So I did want to mention that. Now, as we move into the storminess here, we can see that by later this evening into this afternoon, we can see that there is this kind of cold front type system moving through. It is very chilly actually along a lot of the East Coast here. It's been stuck in the 70s all day, very rainy. So obviously a rainy 70 feels quite cool. So for August, I mean, absolutely feeling very cool compared to normal. We can see that there is this pocket throughout a lot of the Northwest there into the Rockies, where we do see a lot of thunderstorm activity taking place. Also the plains here. So definitely some very interesting things happening in these parts as well. As we reach tomorrow afternoon, better yet, on Saturday, August 5th, we could see a 1,005 millibar low pressure center taking place up here for the northern plains and the upper Midwest. This is going to be bringing some thunderstorms for these areas, also some areas underneath here as well. Relatively quiet now for the East Coast. We do have a couple of storms in the southeast and the far northeast, but in between, it's looking quite nice. Let's just take this all the way towards Sunday, the 6th here, in just a couple of days from now, and you can see a 1,001 millibar low pressure center there over the upper Midwest. We do see kind of a cold front component alongside a little bit of a warm front there as well. So definitely looking like a pretty dynamic system, and it's only going to really intensify from this point forward. We can see this drops all the way down to a 997 by Monday the 7th here. So we see this up here over the Great Lakes, and we can see a lot of thunderstorm activity as a result of this for far northward, actually into eastern Canada there, and then down through a lot of the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and the northeastern United States. Once again, we are still seeing the Rockies and Northwest dealing with some thunderstorm activity here. This has been a relatively common occurrence so far this summer. Not a big surprise that this is continuing to happen in quite a big way. By the time we are reaching Tuesday here on the 8th, we can see this low starts to bomb out. 987 millibar low pressure center there, a little bit of a cold front underneath. So expect some thunderstorm activity down here for eastern Canada, as well as the northeast there for Tuesday the 8th. We can see that areas of the plains into the deep south are also seeing a pocket of thunderstorms here, as well as the far northern Rockies as well. So multiple areas there, a little bit smaller for the United States. By Wednesday the 9th here, this is what we're dealing with. A lot of storms for the East Coast all the way up through the upper Midwest and into the northern plains there. So certainly a very active pattern is beginning here for the central into the east, and it's only just the beginning. We can see a 979 millibar low pressure center there for Canada, which is absolutely monstrous for this time of year, I must say. I mean, that's just an extremely low pressure center for this time of year. Very surprising to see. And then we kind of get a back-to-back system here, because we get this Thursday one with a cold front swinging underneath, so some cooler air as well as thunderstorms moving through with this sweeping cold front. And what we end up seeing from this here as we keep going is that this does reach the eastern seaboard at some point late Thursday into early Friday here, just like that. So around this time, this will be Friday morning, we see these areas here in general dealing with thunderstorms as a result of that cold front. Now a 997 millibar low pressure center. All right, let's keep going with this, and by the time we reach Saturday the 12th here, look at how quiet things are, especially out west. The western half of the nation as a whole is pretty much empty. And then the east is relatively quiet as well, but we do have some isolated thunderstorms in a couple of spots here. So we are seeing, again, a quieter pattern, but a little bit more activity than the west, at least here by Saturday on the 12th there. By the time we're reaching Sunday the 13th here, we can see that there is some northern plains activity here, as well as the Gulf and East Coast here. So definitely a couple of areas dealing with those isolated to scattered thunderstorms. But again, like I mentioned, nothing too crazy happening at the moment. Now, as we take a look at this total precipitation, we see that this all adds up to be far above average, really, for most areas in the eastern areas of Canada and the central and eastern regions of the United States. Anywhere in the whites is going to be practically none. Your grays are a tenth of an inch or less. Your greens are going to be a tenth of an inch to half an inch. Blues, half an inch to an inch. Your yellows, an inches to 2 inches. Reds, 2 to 5 inches there. And then your browns, 5 to 10 inches of precipitation. So certainly above average in those areas, seeing 2 to 5 and even especially 5 to 10 there over the next 10 days. So imagine with me, 10 days seeing that much precipitation is absolutely wild. So we do expect a lot of activity in all of these yellow, red, and brown regions especially. Now, as we reach this temperature pattern, we can see this is that cooler air I was talking about. This is what's bringing that fall-like weather here to a lot of the east. Kind of that flare up of those greens. We can see that the cooler temperatures in general last until about the end of the weekend and into next week, and then we see this warm up begin to move in. So we do see that taking place. Tuesday the 8th, same story. And then Wednesday the 9th here, we could see that there is some cooler air around for a lot of the west and the north central United States doing kind of like this. And then we have some warmth still pushing in through the south central region and up the east coast as well, is mostly what we're seeing here. Now, I want to keep going with this, so let's reach towards Thursday, the 10th here. So we see, again, cooler temps there for the Rockies, the Plains, into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. And then as we reach towards next weekend, we can see more cooler air, but we see more of a horseshoe pattern. And what I mean by that is we see warmth here in the shape of a bit of a horseshoe. Well, it's not quite like that. Let me try this again. Something like this. I'm a little bit more careful that time. So we see the warmth stretching up both coasts here is kind of the theme, and then the cold pushing through the middle here. So this is what I call a horseshoe pattern. I don't even know if it's like ever been called that by anybody else. It's kind of just what I've been calling it. Now, what we're gonna do here in a second, I really want to talk about the fact that it's pretty interesting to me that this is obviously a positive PNA, but we don't see cooler temps along the east. We see warmer temps. So this is a little bit of a interesting pattern, like I mentioned. We see this cooler air eventually tries to move further eastward. By the time we're reaching August 19th, we continue to see this strong warmth out here, which usually encourages this cold air that we do see here. Cooler, I should say. I mean, I say cold all the time, and I mean colder than normal, but people take that as actually cold if you walk outside, but that is not at all what I mean in August, of course. We do see cooler temps, though, for sure here. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this pattern. I hope you guys are curious as well. So what we're going to do is we are going to just continue to track this over the coming days. So be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.